Hello everybody, welcome to another Conflict of Nations video. Today we're gonna be going over helicopters, jets, and heavies. So it's gonna be a little bit longer of a video. So first we have the helicopters. We're gonna start with the helicopter gunship. It is the only aircraft that only takes supplies to mobilize. It does not take components. So usually when I am running low on components, because whatever, I have a large navy, let's say, most of the times that's a reason, I might want to consider doing helicopter gunship. They're great against soft targets, so it's also good for rogue. And it does minimal damage. Well, not minimal. It does lower damage to armored. I also use them to have more tools, basically to counter SAMs. If my jets cannot attack a stack because there's a lot of SAMs, but they don't have mobile AA, helicopters are gonna shred that stack. It only takes army base level 1 is the only aircraft I believe that takes level 1 only. So yeah. Next we get the attack helicopter, which, different from the helicopter gunship, it takes components to mobilize, and it takes an airbase level 2, not 1. However, it flips when it comes to the damage it does. It does more damage to hard targets. So these are the ones that would be ideal to counter SAMs. But again, usually because I prefer to use my components with jets, I don't do that. Oh, and these do some damage to enemy helicopters, 2, and then the attack helicopter did 4. All helicopters are going to be very vulnerable to enemy aircraft. Next we have the ASW. I never used this guy. It's just to counter subs. That's what it's really for. And at that point, I prefer to use the naval patrol aircraft, which is later on at a heavy. Does minimal damage. This is maxed out, and it does minimal damage against soft and hard targets. Same for helicopters, and a little bit for surface ships, which this is really nothing because ships have a lot of HP. It takes a level 2 our airbase to get going, and it takes components and chips. Next we get fighters. Let's start with superiority. So these guys, as the name says, are to counter air threats. Both jets and helicopters are going to take a huge hit from these guys. They do minimal damage against infantry and hard targets. But it only takes an army base level 1 to get going. So early game, you can get these guys rolling pretty quick. Also, the research time is very fast. It's one of those units that you can research. How long is it? Does it say how much? I don't know. It's like 10 minutes. It's nothing compared to, let's say, Striker, which is like 6 hours. So yeah, to kill enemy air targets, airlifts, heavies, you name it, this is what you want. Next, this is the naval one, basically the same thing. All the naval units are going to be slightly better, stats wise, and they're going to cost a little more, but you can put them on your aircraft carrier if you want. That's it for naval. Stealth is the best, but it's very expensive to get going. As you can see, just the research is 4,400. You need airbase level 5, and you need the secret weapons lab. And just to mobilize, it also, these guys are just too expensive. I never get to really use them. The game is over before I have a wing of these guys. It also takes rares to mobilize, but again, they're insane at what they do. and they have stealth, so you cannot hit them with early level SAMs. They have to be matched out to be able to reveal stealth. Um, yeah, and you can fly over enemy territory without being seen. So yeah. Next we have the Strike Fighter, which doesn't really hit air targets. I guess you can use them somewhat for helicopters. They are for ground units. This is what you are gonna. This is one of my favorite units to clear land units with. It's quick in comparison to bombers. Yeah, it's very versatile, and if you mix these with air superiority in one stack, you increase your survivability quite a bit. So yeah, that's what these are. These take an army base level 2, not a 1, in comparison to the air superiority, and it takes components and electronics to get going. Naval Striker, same thing, slightly better stats, and you can mount them on your carrier. Same thing with a Stealth Strike Fighter. You do a lot of damage, as you can see, to ground units, but especially the rares. This is what gets me. I'm not done with research. By the time I get this going, and I don't want to use 400 every time, it takes a long time to mobilize. So, and again, level 5 army base, air base, sorry, and secret weapons lab. So yeah, that's it for stealth. And lastly, UAV. These guys are like combat recon vehicle to see the composition of enemy stacks. However, if you fly them over enemy territory, you do not declare war. Which, if you patrol enemy territory with any other jet that is not stealth, you declare war. With these guys, you don't. And when you got them at a higher level, this is what gets cool about them. So you can do missiles. They're basically a Reaper. So yeah, if you have these guys, you can literally launch a nuke with them. So that's pretty cool. That is what these guys are very good for. And you have also stealth. So to become detectable, the enemy has to have either a maxed out AWACS. I think, yeah, I don't know if radar. I don't think the mobile radar shows you. Or maxed out SAMs. They also reveal stealth. Next we have the heavies. Naval patrol aircraft is to counter subs and ships. So you can see you do 14 to ships, and subs you do 8. Yeah, you can reveal the stealth of the subs. You can have missiles. Yeah, that's it for them. Takes 1200 components to get going, and electronics. You need an air base, level 3. AWACS. It's basically a mobile radar that flies. I put them usually around, let's say I'm New Zealand, I would put them around my island just so I can have a heads up when a enemy radar contact is coming towards me. They do not do any damage to anything. It's just to reveal enemy positions. And then when they're higher level, they reveal stealth of aircraft. So if there's jets or UAVs going around that have stealth, you can see them. They're good to also reveal radar detection. Ground units, if they are armored, they do not reveal soft, so you cannot see infantry. They cannot see subs either, so keep that in mind. Lastly, with naval AWACS, you flip. It's the same thing. You just cannot see air stealth, but you can see naval stealth, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but you can see subs. Next, we have the heavy bomber. I don't like using bombers because even though you get more range than strikers, they're slower. They're slower, and when you're slower, you're in the dead zone of SAMs and mobile AA longer. So I do not like that. You do a lot of damage to stealth targets and respectable to armored units. Um, yeah. Oh, and you can have quite a bit of missiles with these guys. Lastly, the stealth bomber, same thing. The one difference is you're not seen when you're going into enemy territory, which is very cool because if, let's say, you are in the Americas, these guys can go anywhere in the map, I believe, with their range. You can launch this guy from St. Louis, and you can hit Afghanistan, like in reality, I suppose, and you're not gonna be seen. The enemy's just gonna get a notification, hey, you were hit by stealth bomber, and they were never able to see you. And unless they have SAMs there, you wouldn't take damage. Then you would only get the defensive damage of the SAMs, unless they are higher level, which you could potentially trigger the attack of it because they are able to see stealth. So yeah, that's all we have for all the air units.